Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on popular scams and how to avoid them. My name is George Dillman, and I'm the Consumer Outreach Specialist with the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. So, every day people get scammed out of thousands of dollars by professionals with the finger quotes, looking to separate them from their hard-earned money. This presentation will introduce common scams, what to look for, and how to avoid them. Did you know that according to the FTC, consumers reported losing more than $5.8 billion to fraud in 2021, an increase of more than 70% over the previous year? And we only see this to continue growing, getting bigger. So we have to be more and more careful. This is what we're going to be talking about today, top scams and what to look for, how to avoid scams and protect yourself, and resources and where to go for help. But first, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We all know it. We've all heard it. We all know it. Never hurts to remind ourselves every so often. No matter how smart and how sharp we are, the wrong person catches us on the wrong day, at the wrong time, in the wrong frame of mind, and we could be out thousands of dollars. So it never hurts to remind ourselves of this every so often. All right, so we have the scams in categories, if you will. And the first category that we're going to look at is what we term as heartstring scams. These are scams that tug at the heartstrings. The story elicits an emotional connection that the scam artist uses to convince us to give up our money. And we're going to take a look at probably the top three in that group: romance scams, charity scams, and relative and distress scams. What's the common theme in all of them? Instant connection, a trust or a buy-in, and some type of emergency. We're going to take a look at the romance scam first. I read several articles that said the top money-making scam in 5 states, including the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is the romance scam. So we have to be very careful. Whether it's us or somebody that we know using the dating websites or dating apps, scammers out there prowling these sites looking for victims, so we have to be careful. So what are signs of a romance scam? Someone you just met falls, online on one of these sites, falls madly in love with you. That person has an emergency and no access to money, and they want to talk on a less public forum, like a cell phone or private email, private cell phone, private email type thing. This is typically what happens with this scam. Somebody goes online, they build a profile, and somebody reaches out to them, and oh my God, lo and behold, look at this, we're like a perfect match. You like this, I like this. You like that, I like that. We're so compatible, right? By the way, big red flag with this scam: the person reaching out to us with making this connection is never right down the street or in the next town or even 2 towns over. So that convenient enough that you could meet face to face someplace, maybe get together for a cup of coffee, have a chat, and see if this is a true connection for both of you. The person in the scam is always in another state or another country. What's popular now is, the person is in another country. Maybe they're working on a government contract overseas, or they're doing doing like charity work overseas, or they're in the service and they're going to be getting out, or coming back to the States. They're overseas, service, but when they're done with either their charity work, their government contract, or their military service in 6 or 8 months or so, then they're coming back. They're going to be with their new love connection, so to speak. So they reach out, and perfect connection, right? As quickly as they can, they try to get us on a less public platform, like I mentioned earlier. Phone calls, private email, text messages, as opposed to staying on that platform. They want to stay under the radar. I think they know that these sites are now prowling, patrolling their sites, looking for scammers trying to take advantage of people. So they want to try and get off that as quickly as possible. They make there's a few exchanges of messages, and it doesn't take long that they fall madly in love with this person. Oh, you're the person that I've been looking for my whole life. You're the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. When I'm back home in 6 or 8 months, we're going to be together. We're going to get married and spend the rest of our lives together. And then they make that emotional connection. We're now in a relationship. Even though they've never met face to face, they're now in a relationship. And it's not long after that that the emergency happens. Something happens that they need money, and as their new romantic partner, you're the only one that can help them. So, the person falls for it. They send the money, whatever they're asking for. This scam, by the way, is a perfect example of what's called a reload scam, where they reload and come back, reload and come back. I equate reload scams to phishing, and this is how I explain it. Right? Say I like to fish. I go out and I find myself a good fishing hole and I catch a lot of fish. Next time I want to fish, where do I go? I go back to the same fishing hole. And I keep going back until they either stop biting or it's all fished out. Meaning, with the scam, I keep going back and asking for more and more money until they realize that it's a scam and they stop sending money, or again, they're all fished out. Some people who've lost their entire life savings to this scam because they think one day, and probably with a promise that, oh, don't worry, once I get back home in 6 or 8 months, I'm going to pay you that money back and we're going to be together forever. And then they just keep sending and keep sending money. So we have to be careful with this scam. How to avoid a romance scam? Maybe what we can do is take the picture, the photo that they sent, and copy it into like a Google search or some type of a search engine and search that photo. If it's a stock photo that's being used in multiple places, you should see it showing up in a number of different places, like for ads and things like that. And if that's the case, then you know it's a fake photo. It's a stock photo that somebody can use. Search their name online, see if there's anything out there about them online. And finally, and most importantly, don't send money or other valuables to someone you have not met in person yet. We haven't even met in person yet, and we're already in a relationship, and I'm sending money over to you. We don't want to do that. Moving on to charity scams. There's a lot of charities out there people like to give money to. There's some that I like to give money to. But there's fake charities out there as well. And basically, you probably there'll probably be two types of fake charities. The one type of fake charity is a charity that sounds so close to a real charity that you think it is that charity, and that's the whole idea. Maybe I see a pop-up ad or I get an unsolicited email about giving to the United Your Way Fund. Please give to help those who need help and blah blah blah. Oh, I give the United Way all the time. Yeah, I'll send money. It doesn't say United Way, it says United Your Way. Yeah, just using that as an example, by the way, but that kind of gives you the idea that they make the charity sound so close to a real charity, you think it is that real charity, and if you already give to that charity, you might just be sending money without even thinking about it. The other type of charity is they create a charity that just really tugs at the heartstrings. That you so much that you feel compelled to give money to it. Please give to the United Disabled Homeless Veterans of America Fund USA. Please give to those who sacrifice their lives and their limbs to help. Oh my God, how can I not give money to disabled homeless veterans? And you start handing money over. So we got to be careful. Got to be careful. Signs of a charity scam, they're unwilling to send information about the charity in writing. And that's one surefire way of probably knowing whether it's a legitimate charity or not, and something that we can use to at least buy some time before we do send the money. Gee, this sounds like a great charity, but I don't do anything until I see something in writing that I can look over, mull over, and then decide whether I want to give money or not. So send me something in writing. Chances are, again, if it's a fake charity, they don't have anything in writing. It's a scam. So they don't have anything to send you. And then again, big red flag if they don't. The phone number they're calling from is different from what you find on the internet. Um, there could be a big red flag. Or maybe the email that they're corresponding with doesn't it's not even an official email. Maybe it's the name of the charity at gmail.com as opposed to their name at thecharity.com, or I'm sorry, .org, or whatever. They earnestly push you to send money right away. That's what it's all about. With scams, scammers are as quickly as they can. Again, they catch us on the wrong day at the wrong time in the wrong frame of mind. They're trying to get money from us as quickly as they can, or personal sensitive information. Why? Because that personal sensitive information will ultimately lead them to getting money from us, stealing our identity, and getting money that way. So they're trying to push you for whatever reason. They come up with some stories of why they need those funds right away, or why they need your information right away. We got to tread carefully. How to avoid a charity scam? Search the name of the charity on the Pennsylvania Department of State's database. Pennsylvania Department of State has a list of licensed, registered charities operating this in the Commonwealth. Certainly check it out before you send money to anybody. Never send money without first confirming its authenticity. Again, make sure it is a real charity. Maybe Google search. We could check the state's database, or maybe we could do a Google search on the charity. Type in the name of the charity. After you type in the name, type in scams, complaints, or both, and see if anything pops up. Um, ask around, check on certain boards, sites, things like that. Make sure it is a legitimate charity before we hand any money over. And ask questions like, how much of my donation goes to the to the organization. Know that it's never 100%. That could be a red flag. Gee, how much of my money? Because I know for me, it's kind of important how much of my money actually goes towards the cause. But if they tell you that, oh, don't worry, 100% of what you donate today is going to go. But wait a second. 100% goes directly to the cause, and who's paying the bills? Who's paying your salary? Who's paying the where all those funds coming out from to pay the expenses? So that could be a red flag. All right, and finally in this category, relative and distress scam, or sometimes known as the grandparent scam. Signs of a grandparent scam: your family member calls with an emergency, again with the finger quotes. They want you to send money, usually by wire or gift card, and they swear you to secrecy. I'm gonna run through a little scenario how this typically can work, especially with grandparent scam. I get a phone call, and might go something like this: "Grandpa, it's me." And a lot of times they don't give a name because they don't have a name. They wait for you to give a name. "Johnny, is that you?" "Yeah, Grandpa, it's me, Johnny." "Well, gee, son, it doesn't sound like you." "Well, that's because I was in an accident, Grandpa. My nose is broke. That's why I sound funny. I'm down in Georgia with a group of friends." And that's another red flag. Just like the romance scam, they're never right down the street or in the next town, where you can go and help them in person with their emergency. They're in another state, or maybe even in another country. Uh, "I'm in Georgia with a group of friends. We were in an accident, and that's how my nose got broke. And I was driving, and the cops say that the accident was my fault, and they put me in jail. And I need $1,000 bail to get out. And can you please send it? Can you send it right away? Can you wire it down here? I'm in here with a lot of bad people. I don't want to be here in here. And please don't tell my parents about it." And that's kind of how it can go. What's starting to become popular now is somebody is calling for Johnny, as opposed to Johnny or Mary or whoever calling themselves, or somebody, maybe a police officer or some official calling for Johnny, looking for those funds. So we got to be careful with that as well. How can you avoid the grandparent scam or relative in a distress scam? Ask questions only your grandchild would know. You know, "Hey, Johnny, oh my God, Johnny, is Spot with you? Is your dog Spot? Is he with you? Is he okay?" "Oh yeah, Grandpa, Spot's okay. He was yeah, yeah. Better luck next time. You don't have a dog named Spot," or something like anything that you and Johnny would know that somebody else wouldn't know or wouldn't be able to figure out. Certainly ask questions, make sure it really is Johnny. See if you can call the family member on a number that on a number that you know. Maybe you could maybe put the Johnny on hold. Oh Johnny, I got something boiling over on the stove. Let me put you on hold for a minute. I'll get right back to you. You put Johnny on hold, and you call Johnny on his cell phone number, and to make sure that is Johnny. Probably you probably call Johnny and find out that Johnny's safely at home or out with his friends someplace nowhere near Georgia or wherever he says or she says that they're at. And finally, maybe not answer calls from unknown numbers. Legitimate calls will leave messages. A lot of people that I talk to don't even answer their phone anymore. They let everything go to voicemail. And that way, if it is an important call, somebody they need to get back to, they'll leave a message and they can get back to them. That way, they don't have to, worry with some of these scam calls. All right, moving on to banking scams. Scams involving financial institutions center around attempts to access our deposit accounts. Once you sign your name to a check, you may be on the hook for the loss. And again, we're going to look at the top three in that group: counterfeit checks, pay up front scam, and overpayment of items purchased scam. Common themes: they appear authentic, they build on trust, and there's an immediate action required. Now, counterfeit checks and overpayment of items purchased are very close, so basically almost the same scam. So we're going to kind of look at them together, kind of like a different name for the same type of scam. There could be some differences, but this is kind of typically how it works. Signs of a counterfeit check scam: you were not expecting a check. You received a check from someone you do not know. The check is written for more than it was supposed to be. And here's the example that I always use with this scenario. I say I'm selling a car, and I have a used car that I'm selling on Craigslist, and I want $8,000 for this car. Somebody reaches out to me, and lo and behold, this is the exact car they're looking for. What are the odds? The same make, model, year, color, mileage, convertible top, everything they're looking for. Can you, and they might say something, can you please hold the car for me? I'm sending you the old-fashioned check for the full amount. Hold the car, and then we can work out all the other details later on. Fantastic. So I hold the car, wait for the check. A couple days later, I get the check. The check's written out for too much money. Maybe the check is written out for $10,000. And I either reach out to them or they reach out to me, and maybe the story goes, "Oh, gee, I'm sorry. I was looking at a number of cars, and I guess I sent you a check for too much money. I'll tell you what, rather than ripping the check up and waiting for me to send another one, waiting a couple of days for me to get you another one, go ahead and deposit the check. That's okay. Deposit the check, but could you wire back that extra $2,000? In fact, could you wire that back right away? I could really use that money back right away." So the person falls for it, they deposit the check, they wire back the extra $2,000, and then a week or so later, with a large check like that, a week or so later, when the check doesn't clear because it's a fake check, they're now out $2,000. So we want to be careful with this as well. Anytime somebody sends us a check like that, and it's an overpayment, right? Counterfeit check or overpayment, and they're looking for some of those funds back right away, be careful. How to avoid a counterfeit check scam? Don't accept a check from someone you do not know. Verify the information with the institution it is written on, before we do deposit it. Reach out to that bank and make sure this is legit. Or at the very least, if you go ahead and deposit the check, and they call you, or they call you and say, go ahead and deposit the check, can you mail, maybe tell them, you know what, I will gladly send you back that extra $2,000 the minute that check clears. Guaranteed, in that case, you probably won't hear from them again. All right, pay up front scams. And we're going to look at three different types. Signs of a pay up front scam: in order to get a prize, a loan, or some other payment, you must pay fees. There's a promise that the upfront fee is fully refundable if you're not 100% satisfied. You receive the request from someone you do not know or have no connection to. We're going to start with the prize scam. Popular form of prize is the lottery scam. I get a phone call. I won this lottery. This lottery I didn't even know that I entered. And I'm the grand prize winner. Millions and millions. I won millions and millions of dollars. And all I need to do in order to secure those millions of dollars is pay some upfront fees and taxes. $800, $1,000. Once I pay those upfront fees and taxes, they're gonna release those millions of and millions to me. And of course, that's the scam. There is no prize money. It's they're looking to get money out of you. This is another good example, by the way, of a reload scam. You know, I fall for it. I send them the money, and maybe a week or so later I get another call back, and maybe the story goes, oh gee, Mr. Dillman, my apologies. I'm new here at the lottery, and I forgot about these other fees and taxes that also need to be paid. You're going to need to send us another check for $600. But don't worry, once we receive that check, we're going to release those millions to you, and so on and so forth. And they fall for, again, they send in the extra $600, guaranteed a week or so later they're going to be calling back with another story and another reason why they need to send more money. The money was being released, something happened, there was some kind of a fine or whether that needs to be paid or something else that needs, and they'll just keep doing it again, just like the fishing story, the fishing hole. They keep coming back until they stop biting, or it's all fished out. So got to be careful with that and look out. And with a lot of these scams, we have to look out for family and friends as well. Especially older family and friends. A lot of these scams, they like to target seniors, so we need to keep an eye out for our older seniors that are older family members, friends that we're keeping an eye on. Keep an eye out for these scams. The loan. Um, Say I need to borrow money. I need like $30,000 for some major renovations to my home. Maybe I need to replace all the wiring and some kind of an emergency, but I need like a $30,000 loan to do for something, and nobody's giving me a loan because my credit isn't good. All of a sudden, maybe I see a pop-up ad or I get an unsolicited email from somebody, maybe even called. There was this one loan company that's willing to give me this loan. Maybe the ad goes, no credit, bad credit, we're here to help, give us a call, blah, blah, blah. So you reach out to them, or maybe they even reach out to you, and they're willing to give you this loan. They're going to secure that loan for 30,000. They might even send paperwork to you, maybe electronically, and you fill out the loan paper, the loan application, electronically sign it and send it back. They're going to give you the loan, but again, you're going to need to pay something up front in order to get the loan. Maybe you need to pay at least part of that interest, and again, maybe it's $1,000 that I need to pay up front to cover at least some of the interest that's going to accrue on that loan. But once I pay that interest, and I send that back with the form, I wire that back to them however they need to get it, they're going to release that loan to me. So I do it. I never hear from them again. It's all a scam. So we got to be careful with that. Any of these pay up front schemes. There's one with contractors. Again, here's a scenario that I use. I'm out working in my yard, and a work truck pulls up. Contractor, Joe's Contracting Service. Sign on the side of the truck, and the pickup truck, and there's a rack in the back with ladders and equipment and supplies. Guy gets out of the truck and introduces himself with Joe's Contracting Service. He might say that they're doing some work for a couple of my neighbors, several blocks over, and he's just scouting around, see if anybody else needs this kind of work done. Maybe they're resurfacing. Maybe that's the story. They're resurfacing driveways. So he's out looking to see if anybody could use the work. I noticed your driveway, Mr. Dillman, looks like it could use some resurfacing. I'll tell you what, we bought too much material. We have extra materials, and what we're willing to do is do the job and give you a really good price on the job. The only thing is, because I need to pay my guys up front, and I need to get take care of this, take care of that. I'm going to need to have that money up front before we do the work. Don't worry, we'll fill out a contract, and you might even stand there and fill out a contract. Maybe you run down to the bank and get whatever the cost is. You get it out of the bank, you come back, you hand it to them in cash, and there's a promise that once the other two jobs are done in a week or so, they're going to come back and take care of your driveway. And again, you never see them again. You try to reach out to them. There is no Joe's Contracting Service. It was all a scam. So again, we have to be careful with these pay up front scams. How to avoid a pay up front scam? You should never pay cash in order to claim a prize or receive a loan or get work done to your home. At least not all of it. At least with contractors, we are looking at paying something up front, but not the whole thing. Especially in cash. Know who you are dealing with, and avoid paying with a gift card or wire transfer, or again cash. By the way, with contractors, if somebody's looking for a licensed and hopefully legitimate contractor, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office has a list of licensed contractors in the Commonwealth. So you can certainly reach out to them, for a referral or maybe to check on somebody that you are looking to work with. How to avoid bank scams? Be careful about financial transactions with strangers. Do not give change, with the finger quotes, from a check. Remember, you're responsible for all funds you deposit to your account. Imposter scams. And again, three types that we're going to look at: government representatives, technology companies, and credit repair scams. Common themes: they appear as a trusted representative, and there's an immediate need to get something from you up front. As I mentioned before, scammers, as quickly as they can, before we have time to think about it, they're looking to get money from us or personal sensitive information, which will help lead them to get money. We're going to start with the technology companies. I don't have a separate slide on this one, but very simply, again, maybe the pop-up ad or unsolicited email, a phone call, somebody, offering support, technical support with your computing device. They're the expert. Maybe you get a phone call. What has been a common scam with the technology company is the Microsoft Office scam. You get a phone call, unsolicited phone call from a again with the finger quotes, Microsoft Office representative, letting you know that you have viruses, all these viruses on your computer, and as a representative of Microsoft, they're here to help. For a fee, upfront fee, you give them access to your computer, and they'll go in and clear out all these viruses off your computer. Oh my gosh, I don't want viruses on my computer. So the person falls for it. They pay the upfront fee. They give the person access to their computer. Next thing you know, they see their arrow moving around, and the arrow pulls up this box, and this big box, and there's all these viruses in the box, and you see the person eliminating all these viruses from your box. It's a fake box with fake viruses. Best case scenario, that person is charging you a fee for something they're really not doing. Worst case scenario, because you gave them access to your computer, control/access to your computer, they could be in there taking things off, stealing information off your computer. Maybe while they're doing, maybe that's why they pull that big box up. Or they could be planting some malicious software on your computing device that might allow them to go into your computer anytime they want to steal information. And this could apply to any of these other technology company scams too. So we got to be careful. If something's wrong with our computer, we don't wait for somebody to reach out to us. We want to reach out to somebody that we've researched and we know is a good trusted entity to reach out to. All right, moving on to government representative scams. Signs of a government representative scam: pretends to be from a government agency. In some cases, claims you would be arrested if you do not comply, and won't provide information in writing. I think what might have been the first government representative scam was the IRS scam. Very simply, you get a call supposedly from an IRS representative. That person tells you you owe the IRS all this money, maybe $5,000 in back taxes to the IRS, and you need to pay that money today, or they're sending the police out to pick you up and take you to jail. Oh my God, how do I? And then they instruct you how you need to get the money to them. At one point, it started with I think it was big with wire transfers. You need to go down to Western Union or MoneyGram as quickly as you can and send that money to us, to this number, to this, to this place. And these companies started catching on to it. People were alerting them to it. They started putting a stop to this. So now they have people going down to local retail stores and purchasing gift cards in the amount of money that they tell them they need. In this case, the $5,000 in back taxes, and then they need to read the numbers off the back of those gift cards to them, which gives them instant access to that cash on the gift card or the gift cards, depending on how many they need to purchase, and take the money. So we got to be careful with that. Another one, there was another one, a different swing to it. They were looking for personal sensitive information in this case. At the height of COVID, there was a scam where they were pretending to be from Social Security. A lot of times, what scammers will do is connect their tried and true scams with the latest emergency that's out there. So in this case, people were getting called supposedly from a representative from Social Security. That representative was telling them, that Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, due to the COVID virus, all the Social Security offices are shutting down, and because of that, all checks have stopped. Oh my God, what do I do? I need my check. Well, that's why we're reaching out to all Social Security recipients, letting them know that if they want their checks to continue coming, you're going to need to give us all of your information again, and we're going to need to manually put it into another system so that continues your checks going. So do you have time to do that? Oh yeah, good, that's great. And then they get everything that they need to steal their identity, and that's the scam. So again, we got to be careful with anybody calling from a government agency, looking for money or personal sensitive information as quickly as they can get it. Uh, Big red flag. We talked about, as far as the signs, not sending anything in writing. If it's a legitimate government agency, as a lot of people that I talk to out there know, they're normally not going to reach out to us by phone. In many cases, like with the Social Security, they don't have enough staff to make these phone calls. So how they reach out to us is by letter. And there's not going to be some demand for something right away in that letter. We're going to have time to read the letter, to mull it over, take it to somebody, give them a call about before we react on this. So there's one big red flag that they won't provide any information in writing. Then it's a scam. How to avoid government representative scam? Request proof of if it's the money that you owe them, request proof of that, or anything that they're trying to sell you, so to speak, in writing. Never pay with a gift card or with a wire transfer, and tell the caller you'll call them back. Oh, gee, you're from the IRS, and I owe the IRS $5,000. And if you know what, let me give you a call back. And even if they try to keep you from hanging up the phone, hang up the phone anyway. Especially if you know it's a scam. I think most people will know that it's a scam. But if you're not sure, certainly reach out to that government agency with a verified phone number and confirm whether they have reps calling or not. Chances are, it's a scam. All right, and finally in this category, credit repair scams. Signs of a credit repair scam: guarantees your credit will go up by a definite number of points. Tells you to dispute all negative credit information. Wants payment upfront before any services are given. First, let me start by saying that if you're not checking your credit reports, at least once a year, you need to check your credit reports with the three main credit reporting bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. We get one free credit report each year. Normally, we get one free credit report each year from each one of the three main credit reporting bureaus, which means 3 a year. Right now, you may be able to do it more often. They were doing it once a week. up until the end of 2022, and they may have extended that. But at least once a year, you want to check your credit reports. One surefire way of knowing whether somebody has stolen your ID and is using it or not, because it should be showing up somewhere on your credit reports. And I'm going to give you a scenario. I checked my credit report, and over the last 2 months, there was 2 credit cards open in my name that I know I didn't open. There was a loan taken out in my name that I know I didn't do. There was a car purchased in my name. All this activity on there that I know isn't mine. I want to reach out to those 3 credit bureaus and report it to them. And I want to I want to report it. I want to reach out to them for at least 2 reasons. First of all, I want to report it to them that there's activity on there, things on my credit report that aren't mine. Somebody must have stolen my ID and used it and are opening these accounts in my name, so on and so forth. What they will do, those things that we tell them are not ours, they will take those off our credit report and they will do an investigation, and may take 3 or 4 months to do the investigation. But at the end of the investigation, they confirm, as we know, they confirm that those aren't ours. Somebody else put those on there. They should stay off your credit report permanently. Now with the scam, maybe somebody reaches out to me again. I see that pop-up ad, or I unsolicited email. They contact me, or I see something someplace, and reach out to them, and obviously for a fee. They First of all, they're going to guarantee my credit score is going to go up by X number of points, and they either with your permission they may do it, or they direct you to do it, to reach out to these credit bureaus and basically report that, to tell them you want to dispute every negative thing that's on your credit report, knowing that they will take those things off your credit report and investigate them. Now, what they don't tell you is once the investigation is done 3 or 4 months later, and they've confirmed that those are yours, those things will go back onto your credit report and drive your score back down to where it was. And 3 or 4 months later, and by that time, they're long gone with the money that you paid them up front. So we got to be careful with that. By the way, I forgot to mention the other reason we reach out to those credit bureaus, not only to report that to them, but also to do a credit freeze on all of our accounts. It's free and it's easy to do. You freeze all of your accounts to those credit bureaus, and no new activity can take place. We can't even do anything at that point, but that's okay, because now we have time, knowing that whoever stole our ID, they can't do any more damage to us anymore. That way we can take a step back, take a deep breath, and report identity theft and start a recovery process. So now going back to the credit repair scam, there are companies out there. I see 1 or 2 of them, I should say we all see 1 or more of them advertised on TV all the time. My personal thought is these companies are barely legit. I did some research into 1 or 2, one that was advertising all the time. I did some research into this company and basically confirmed what I already knew. They really can't do much of anything for you that basically you can't do yourself. You're paying money, and in a lot of cases, at least with this one company, not only are they charging you a fee, but they're charging you a monthly fee to continue monitoring your credit report to see if they can prove that score somehow for you. Bottom line is, if you or somebody that you know has a bad credit score, there's only one person that can improve that score, and that's you, as I think most of us know. That's you. By paying our debt down, paying our debt on time. Whoop, my apologies. And so on and so forth. Doing what we need to do to improve our credit score. It's going to take some time with some people to improve that score, but it's well worth it, as opposed to throwing away money that won't do anything. So how do we avoid a credit repair scam? There are no quick fixes for bad credit. If the debt is true, disputing it is fraud and can get you into trouble. By doing that with what they instruct you to do with the scam, the actual scam, we could get into trouble because we're trying to blame somebody else for something that we did not do. And do not pay money for a service that does not really exist. How to avoid imposter scams? Governments will not call out of the blue demanding money. You are the only one that can repair your credit. It takes time. And tell the caller you'll call them back, then call them from a verified number, the actual agency. Moving on to investment fraud. Investment frauds promise low risks and high returns. Common themes we hear all the time with these scams. The fraudster will try to convince you to invest your hard-earned money. uh, they even tell you that the investment is guaranteed not to lose value. There was an investment professional, had been around for a long time, who had this great investment opportunity, guaranteed rate of return, high rate of return, 15%, guaranteed 15% rate of return no matter what the market was doing. And we all know the market does this. No matter what the market was doing, guaranteed 15% rate of return, which is a high rate of return at little to no risk. Do you know who that gentleman was? A gentleman we all know by the name of Bernie Madoff, and we know what happened there. Largest Ponzi scheme ever, longest running, I believe, Ponzi scheme, and a lot of people lost a lot of money, a lot of which they might not get back. So we have to be careful. They tell us what we want to hear, so we hand our money over. And again, we're going to take a look at the top three popular investment frauds: affinity fraud, promissory notes, and Ponzi schemes. Affinity fraud relies on trust and friendship within groups of people who have something in common. Popular the affinity fraud is the I'm like you so you can trust me scam. I join a group of people, maybe a hiking club, a book club, a civic organization, a local church, and I become part of that organization. I'm already like everyone else there. I join the same church and same like-minded people, and I become what people want me to become in order to be like them. And maybe I join a church organization, and I start volunteering for different things, and helping out here, helping out there, and people get to know me. I get to know people, and oh, that George is such a great guy, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, George has this great investment opportunity with the finger quotes that just can't miss. And at some point he skips town with everybody's money from the group. So we got to be careful. Got to be careful. How to avoid affinity fraud? Do not invest based only on what your friend, with the finger quote, recommends. Get it in writing and verify it through the Securities and Exchange Commission before we do anything. Again, yeah, do a little bit of research. Make sure this is a legitimate investment opportunity. Do some research on that person. If they have an investment opportunity, they should be a licensed professional. Check up on them. Make sure they are a licensed professional before you do anything with them. Ponzi schemes, started by Charles Ponzi in the early 1900s. That's where the name comes from. And it actually started out, Charles Ponzi, his investment opportunity actually started out as a legitimate investment opportunity that just got out of hand. He realized at some point he wasn't able to pay investors the rate of return that he promised them. So he started paying investors back with new money that came in to the investment, and that's how the Ponzi scheme starts. And that's how Ponzi schemes work. Excuse me. That's how Ponzi schemes work. I get a group of people to buy into this so-called great investment opportunity that I have, guaranteed 15% rate of return. And then as I have new investors investing, I start paying back the original investors with new money that's coming in, keeping most of it for myself, of course. Thank you very much. And then again, as I have even new investors investing, then I pay back those secondary investors with new money that's coming in, and so on and so forth. And we kind of go from there. And at some point, these, and it all relies on getting new, more and more new investors to invest into these things. And sometimes they only last as long as, I have new investors investing, because again, there is no investment. There is no investment. A Ponzi scheme is an investment scam that promises high returns with no risk. Again, Bernie Madoff, largest Ponzi scheme ever. Profits are paid to early investors from new investors because there is usually no actual business. Again, there is no investment. So, returns with the finger quotes are getting paid back with new money that comes in. How to protect yourself, verify the investment. Again, do some research, investigate the person selling the investment. If you don't understand it, don't buy it. Yeah, we do our due diligence before we hand that money over. Promissory notes. A written promise to repay a defined amount of money at a certain time. It's usually a much better rate of interest than maybe we get at the bank. Basically, it's an IOU with interest defined in the contract to the investors. Real promissory notes are only offered, really, I don't really like the word sophisticated, but sophisticated or institutional investors, more of a professional capacity, commercial capacity, as opposed to, Johnny or Jane on the street, so to speak, the public. So there could be a red flag if somebody approaches us with this. How can we protect ourselves? Real promissory notes are not normally sold to the general public. Verify the investment is registered on the SEC's database or by calling our toll-free number, 800-PA-BANKS. The seller of the promissory note must be registered. Verify their registration at www.brokercheck.finra.org. Or I think you can just go to brokercheck.org. And here is brokercheck.org. Overseen by FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. You can investigate financial professionals through their website, and also or through the SEC's website. Investigate before you invest. Find out if they are registered and what they can or can't do. Gives you information about their previous work history. See if complaints have been filed or any actions have been taken against them. So one good way of finding out whether something is legitimate or not is by checking the site, checking them out, asking around before we do anything. And the final category is virtual scams. Involves any scam that uses the internet and electronic devices to persuade you to give up personally identifying or financial information. And we're going to look at three types again: phishing with emails, smishing with text messages, and fake websites. Phishing with emails. Somebody's, they're on a fishing trip. They're looking to get information. Same thing with the smishing or even with the fake websites. They're looking to get information, personal identifying information and or money from us. But phishing emails, here's the example that I use with this one. I get an email from my local bank, customer service at my local bank. And maybe I get emails from them all the time. This particular email I get from them, hello, Mr. Dillman, this is customer service at your local bank, at yourbank.com. The bank is updating its records, and we're reaching out to all of our customers, asking them to confirm all their information for us. So we have up-to-date records. If you could hit the link below, that'll take you to another page where you can fill in all the information that we need to confirm. So I want to help my bank out. I hit the link, I go to the page, and I confirm my name, my address, my telephone number, my social security number, my date of birth, my bank account numbers, maybe my PIN numbers. How do I really know this person, that this email came from my local bank? Like I said, I get emails from them all the time. The bank's name, the logo, everything is there. The email address that it came from is there. In this day and age, it's very easy to copy and paste, Photoshop things, and fake things such as email addresses to make us believe that an email came from a trusted source, like your local bank or the cable company or maybe a government agency. So we have to be careful. Have to be careful. Smishing, same thing with smishing text messages. What has been popular over the last couple holiday seasons, with a lot of people buying online for the holidays or even during the year, is You get every year over the last 3 years. I would get a couple a year, at least a couple a year. This text message from supposedly from FedEx or supposedly from Amazon or UPS or the U.S. Postal Service. Maybe it goes something like, Mr. Dillman, this is a representative from FedEx. Something happened with your last order. All your information was lost. We need to hit the link below. That'll take you to another page, or we need you to fill in all your information again. So again, I hit the link, I go to the page, and give somebody, just like with the email, I give somebody all my somebody I really don't want to give my information to, all my information. So we got to be careful. And maybe by hitting that link in the email or the text message, not only am I, giving, and I end up giving somebody information I want to give, but maybe by hitting that link, I could be triggering and downloading some malicious software to my computing device. Maybe some software that allows that scammer to go into my device anytime they want to without me knowing about it and steal information from it. So we got to watch hitting links, opening attachments, downloading apps to, sources we're not too sure about. Experts say more than 1/3 of third-party apps have malicious software attached to them. So we download an app from a source we're not really sure if it's a legitimate source or not, and we could be downloading that some nasty software we don't want to download to our device. What we can do, maybe we're not sure. Maybe if we know, like with the text, I got one of the at least one or more of the text messages I got was supposedly from Amazon, telling me something was wrong with my last order, my information was lost or whatever. I knew it was a fake because I don't order anything through Amazon. I order through other sources. So if you know it's a fake, delete it. And don't. Bottom line, don't respond to it. But if you're not sure, maybe reach out to that entity. Maybe I reach out to my local bank or that government agency or the cable company or the Amazon or FedEx by telephone. And I don't want to use the number that could be in the email message or the text message. We know where that number is going to go to if it is a fake. We want to use a verified number to confirm whether they sent us this email or this text message or not, and then what we need to do. Moving on to fake websites, but essentially two types of fake websites. I get again, I see a pop-up ad, maybe on social media, or I get that unsolicited email about this new online retailer, Big John's Big Discounts. Every day, everything 50% off. Come to our site and shop, shop, shop. Oh my God! So I hit the link, or I go to their site, and once I get to their site, I find out that if I download their app to my computing device, I'm going to get a $100 credit towards my first order. Oh my God, this is great! I download their app and I got all these bargains, and boy, everybody's going to have a great holiday season this year from Uncle Georgie, I'll tell you. So I do that again, only to find out at a later point that it was a fake website set up by some scammer to collect personal sensitive information to be able to use it. This actually happened to me, personal story. This actually happened to me one time, and so I'm extra careful now with these new sites that I'm not so sure about. So again, before we use these sites, check them out. Do some research. Google the name of the company, and after you type in the name of the company, type in scams, complaints, or both, and see if anything comes up. Do some research, check with the Better Business Bureau, ask around, make sure these are legitimate sites before we use them. Now, the second type of fake website is they may essentially make a copy of an actual website, an exact copy of that site. Again, I get a pop-up ad in social media, this great sale that, with bigboxretailer.com. I shop with them all the time. Oh my God, I hit the link, I go to the site and shop, shop, shop. Again, only to find out at a later date that it was a fake website. But George, I go to their site all the time. It was their site, the name, the logo, everything was there, and their web address. Just like with the email, in this day and age, very easy to copy and paste, Photoshop things, and fake even web addresses to make it look like you were directed to the actual website. In those cases, it's highly suggested. One thing that we can do if we're getting redirected to our favorite big box retailer website or any big box retailer website or that we're familiar with, or any site for that matter that we're redirected to, it's suggested we go directly to the site with the web address that we have. That way we know we're going to the actual website and not getting redirected to a fake website. We could certainly reach out to them by phone too to see if this is true or whatever. But also, one other thing that we can do with emails and those copycat websites is something that's called the hovering technique. What you do now, you can do this if you're using a computing device with a mouse and an arrow. But what you do, and you see my arrow up at the top there, is you place the arrow with the email. You place the arrow over top of the email address, and when you do that, a box will pop up. Now, where it says in the email in the email address where that email came from, in the box that popped up, it'll tell you it'll tell you where that email actually came from. And if it's anything different to what's in the email address, it came from a fake source. What you want to be careful with is you want to be watch out for those slight subtle differences in what you see in the email address and what you see in the box. Here's the example I use. I hover over customer service at yourbank.com, and the box pops up, and in the box it says customer service at yourbank.com. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a second. In the box that popped up, it says customer service at your-bank.com. That one slight subtle difference, that one extra dash, is the difference from that email coming from a legitimate source or coming from a fake source. So that's what we have to watch out for. Same thing with the web address. I can hover over the web address, the box will pop up, and where it says that I'm at in the web address, in the box it'll tell me where I'm actually at. And again, I do that, box pops up, okay, www.bigboxretailer.com. Oh, wait a second, in the box that popped up, box is spelled with a 0 rather than an O. Again, that one slight subtle difference is the difference from being on the actual site or a fake website. So we want to be careful with that, and that's something else that we can use to determine is the hovering technique. All right, protect yourself from virtual scams. Research all new websites. Be cautious when being directed to sites through social media or email. When reviewing an email or text, check grammar and spelling. Confirm sender before clicking any links or attachments or downloading apps. Again, hitting a link, opening an attachment could release, if it's from a fake, so from a scammer, opening attachment could release some nasty software. Downloading an app, from a not so trusted source that we're not sure about, could download that nasty software. So we want to be careful with that. How to avoid scams? Know how to spot imposters. Do not believe caller ID. Be careful how you pay for your items. Talk to someone you trust. And if in doubt, you can reach out to our agency, the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities, at 800 PA Banks. We'll talk more about that shortly. Other ways to protect yourself: beware of interactions with people you do not know. Guard your social security number and other personal information. We know why now. Secure documents and shred them when you no longer need them. Watch your bank and credit statements and check your credit reports. Again, and we've already talked about checking your credit reports and why, and the two things we can do if somebody has stolen our ID and is using it. I gave you that scenario. We've already reached out in that scenario. We've already reached out to those credit reporting bureaus, and I told you why. To have all those things that aren't yours taken off the credit report and investigated to confirm that they aren't yours, so they permanently stay off the report, and to freeze your accounts. Do a credit freeze. It's free and it's easy to do. Do a credit freeze on your accounts, and then that way no new activity can take place until we unfreeze it. What else do? We contact The companies where the compromise took place, we reach out to their fraud department. Most companies have them nowadays, and work with their fraud departments to cancel those cards, close those accounts, clear our names of all that debt. We want to file a police report. We want to get a copy of that police report and the police report number. We want to keep it someplace safe and handy in case we need to refer back to it. Take notes, keep a notebook, keep those notes handy, in order to refer back to if needed. Report it to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office at 800-441-2555 or attorneygeneral.gov. Report it to the Federal Trade Commission at 877-ID-THEFT or identitytheft.gov. Whoop, excuse me, identitytheft.gov. Identitytheft.gov, which is overseen by the Federal Trade Commission, is another way of reporting ID. It's like a checkoff sheet for everything that you need to do for reporting identity theft and to start a recovery plan. It's a complete walkthrough process. And as you're doing that, that's creating another report that you want to get a copy of and keep handy in case you need to refer back to it. If you're not on the Pennsylvania or nationwide do not call list, it's recommended to get on that on those call lists. They're not foolproof. They're not going to stop all calls coming to you. From what I've learned, it should cut down on the number of calls that you get. So it's certainly recommended to, it's still recommended to get on the statewide and nationwide do not call list. All right, state resources, Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Our agency regulates those industries in the Commonwealth. If you ever have a question, a problem, an issue as it relates to a complaint, as it relates to that, you can reach out to us at 800-PA-BANKS or through our website at dobs.pa.gov. We have an in-house staff that will take phone calls Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. You call during those hours, you should get a live voice answering the phone. If you don't get a live voice answering the phone, you leave a message and somebody should get back to you within 24 business hours. And if you reach out to us and it's not ours to handle, we will make sure to point you in the right direction as to where you need to go. Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, check out their website. A lot of good information on our website as well at dobs.pa.gov. Check ours out. Same thing with the Attorney General's office, also to report ID theft or scams. Local police department locator. You need to contact your local police department to file a report. You don't know the number. You can go to policelocator.com/PA. Federal resources, the Federal Trade Commission. You can reach out to them at ftc.gov/ID theft. A lot of good information on their website as well at ftc.gov. We didn't talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but again, another good source of information for consumers at consumerfinance.gov. And finally, the Securities and Exchange Commission at investor.gov. You can certainly reach out to me. Again, my name is George Dillman. I'm the Consumer Outreach Specialist with the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. And my email address, my telephone number, gdillman@pa.gov or 717-705-2687. Or again, you can reach us through dobs.pa.gov. And with that, that will end our presentation. And I thank you for joining.